Welcome back, guys. Today I brought out a fun one here, an H&R Open Top 22. Check it out with me. But before we get started, don't forget to check out our friends over there at Workaday Custom Gun Leather, custom made to order. Go ahead and check them out. Now, the H&R is not what you would call a high demand item. Actually, these are not really considered to be collector's items. These are old, turn of the century, fairly cheap firearms that you can find readily on the market. Some of these older ones, like this one, I suspect it's a second model Premier, manufactured around 1905, but I can't find much information on it, seeing as it's not serialized, and there's no real markings on the barrel or anywhere on the frame, except on the side where it says 22 Rimfire. Okay, a lot of help there. But I did a lot of research, and that's about the best I can come up with. But anyway, these are pretty fun little guns, and you can find them for a pretty fair price anywhere you go look around. You can find them in your local shops. You're not going to really find them at box stores, but of course if you go onto your online auction sites, you might have some pretty good luck. And this one right here, I got it for a pretty good deal, and I'm very happy with it. I've shot it before, it's a lot of fun, and I can't wait to show it to you guys. Now, like I said with the H&R, it's an open top. Now, it's not like an old Colt Open top, but it opens up like that, and it's got an auto ejector, as you can see right there. 7 shots in the cylinder, and then after you load it back up, and you'll see that, close her back up just like that, and she's ready to go. Now, one thing that's noteworthy, the sights are pretty darn small. You're gonna see right there just that small notch cutout. Not very impressive, but being up close for a small pistol, they actually work out pretty good. And then of course you got that raised front sight that's fixed. Now, I have a particular fondness for these old guns because, well, one, they're old, and I'm actually holding a tangible piece of history in my hands. Now, that's not to say that this is part of any kind of notable historical moment, but back in the day when they were still manufacturing new and upcoming firearms and new technology, and they were still exploring in the early 20th century, this is one of the products. I think based on what I could find, this is like around 1905 this was built, so it does handle smokeless powder, but not that far off of it. Commercially made smokeless powder firearms, you know, they were still in their infancy back then. I believe it was like the early 1890s when they started producing them, so this is probably 10-15 years in when you could easily get them. Otherwise, pretty much like the military and all the other markets, a lot of them you're still getting a mishmash of smokeless, experimental smokeless, well, they're still trying to figure it out, and obviously black powder stuff. So from the early turn of the 20th century, it's really neat to be holding this thing in my hand, let alone shooting it. It's an excellent working order, and I couldn't be happier. Now, given the age of this thing, we're going to use a little bit of caution here, and we're going to be doing some subsonic loads. So we're going to see, these are essentially 22 longs, but they're 22 long rifle, but they are lower velocity, 710, and they're equivalent to these 22 shorts that are also 710 velocity. So I think these will work pretty darn well with this revolver. Now, one of the things I noticed about this is the cylinder is pretty darn small, so that leads me to believe this was designed for shooting 22 shorts. However, I have been able to chamber 22 longs in there, or 22 long rifle. And I want to show you the difference here. I'm going to open her up, and I'm going to take 2 different shells out. So the first one is going to be a 22 short, which is obviously shorter than the 22 long rifle. And I'm going to put it in there, and I'm going to take this 22 long rifle, or 22 long, I guess, essentially, and put that in there. And I'm going to show you what the front of the cylinder looks like, so you can kind of get an idea. There's quite a bit of difference in the length of the case there as it relates to the cylinder. Check this out. Now, hopefully you can see it. This chamber right here is the 22 short, and this one is the 22 long rifle, or whatever, 22 long, whatever you would prefer. And you can see that the projectile itself is much closer to the head of the cylinder, or to the head of the chamber rather, as opposed to the 22 short. And I want to do a comparison between the two, how they actually shoot out of this gun. So at about 5 paces, 5 yards, give or take, I'm going to load this thing up with 22 shorts. And I'm going to start off, I'm going to do single action because I believe that is going to be the most accurate way to shoot this thing, obviously without dealing with that heavy trigger, and there is a heavy trigger on there, just to kind of get a look at that. And then I'll follow it up with the low velocity 22 long rifle. I'm probably as curious as you are to see what kind of a difference we're going to be looking at, if there is any difference. I'm wondering if that case length to cylinder length is going to have any kind of major impact. So anyway, let's give it a rip. That's looking pretty good. Let's check it out. And there you'll have it right there. Mostly a pretty good group there with a couple of flyers. But 22 shorts, they're doing real good at 5 paces. Alright, so let's give it a rip with the 22 long rifle. I think the velocities on these things are just right. The revolver seems to be holding up pretty good. There was no expansion, so I'm not seeing it was like overpowered or anything like that. The gun seems to be operating just fine. So I'm wondering how much difference, if any, this is going to be making. Okay, locks up nice and tight. Single action again. 22 long rifle, low velocity. Alright, and that did it. Let's see how we did. I forgot to set up the shot camera to actually show the impacts, but you can see it right there. No real remarkable difference there. Same velocity, just different case length. Basically does the same thing. That's pretty darn good. So at 5 yards, we're looking pretty good. I'm going to load up the 22 shorts again, and we're going to do that double action. Now, based on my prior shooting experience, it's ugly. It's a very heavy double action. I fully expect it to affect the accuracy on there, but might as well make a complete assessment of this thing, right? Now, to speed up loading on this, it'd be best to get like a 7-shot speed loader. I do not have one of those, so it is what it is. So we're going to use what we got. Seems slow, but if you got a speed loader, it'd be a lot faster. So 22 shorts with that double action. Yeah, double action is pretty rough. Now I want to show you the ejection on this thing. Is pretty cool. Bing, out just like that. That way you're not taking forever to unload this thing. And there you have it with the 22 shorts with the double action. Definitely opened the group up. I mean, at 5 paces, I mean, it's still hitting pretty good. It's still hitting the target, you know, where I wanted to hit. It's just a lot more spread out than it was before. Alright, we're going to do a double action now with the 22 long rifle. One thing I noticed, it might be a mechanical issue with the gun itself, or maybe it was an ammo issue, I'm not really sure. With the 22 shorts, I kept having interrupts as I was trying to cycle the cylinder. As well, I was trying to rotate the cylinder to keep it cycling as it should be, and it kept hanging up on me. I don't know why. Maybe the cases were jostling loose and getting hung up on the mechanism. I don't know. We're going to see if it happens with the 22 long rifles. I doubt we're going to have any kind of a different effect. I mean, the double action's pretty rough, but let's see how it does. Yeah, that's kind of funky looking. Shoop. And there goes a double action. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It was probably a knocked out pasty in there, but you get the idea. It's essentially the same. I don't know why the cylinder keeps hanging up. Probably because it's just old and worn. But yeah. Now she's doing 5 at 5 yards, 5 paces, whatever you choose. I'm going to try it back at 10. And we're going to do basically the same drill with the shorts and the longs and see if there's any notable difference there. The double action, I mean, we pretty much already know it's going to pitch it in every direction. So I think it would be better just to go with the single action if we want to see what any kind of real accuracy looks like, because obviously you saw the big difference there. And then after we check that out, you know, we'll have a little bit of fun with it. And there you have it, single action at 10 yards. Opened up quite a bit, but still hitting pretty darn good. I mean, it's hitting where I want to. If I slowed down a bit, I bet you I'd get them all inside of that 9 ring, there, or that center ring there. But otherwise, I mean, I'm pretty well convinced. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I think there was one of them that was a keyhole. So even though it's well over 100 years old, it's still a pretty good shooter. Now at 10 yards, I think this is where we're going to see the rubber meet the road. If there really is any kind of a notable difference between the long rifles taking up that extra chamber space in the cylinder versus those 22 shorts. Now the accuracy, although I had a part in it obviously, was pretty fair. I mean, I got no complaints about it at 10 yards. It did the job. So let's see if that extra little bit makes the difference. And at 10 yards, I wouldn't say there's any kind of remarkable difference. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's pretty much more or less the same. So you can interchange the ammo, and I don't think you would have any issues with it. Well, so that's basically what it looks like for general accuracy issues with the firearm. It holds pretty true, even out to 10 yards. It does a pretty good job. It still hits within, you know, those closer in rings. It starts to spread out a little bit as you go further out naturally. It's probably losing velocity as it goes. It is old, okay? So the rifling may be a little bit messed up, and part of it, of course, is me. You know, there's always going to be shooter error, but all in all, I'm very pleased with it. I think it's a very fun gun. I think this would be something that you would see at like a fair, I guess. Can you imagine this thing when it was brand new? Nice, sharp, crisp, shiny, fresh bluing on there. Look at that patina. You know, and I don't know. I would imagine you would see this at like a booth or something like that. But it is a fun little gun, and I'm going to set up 7 fun targets out there, and I'm going to split the difference. I'm going to go at 7 yards, and I'm going to shoot these targets, and I'm just going to mix up the ammo. It doesn't really matter because they're basically shooting the same, but I kind of want to see if there is a shot for shot difference, if I can feel any, but yeah, we'll find out. Neither one's better than the other one. They're pretty much equal. I mean, they're essentially the same thing. 40 grains, 710 velocity. One case is just longer. That's all. So let's have some fun with it. I think that was on the 7th shot too. Yep. And here we go. We got a couple good hits on the swinger. Here we go. Cans got hit. That one got hit. Obviously we hit the clay birds and the shaving cream. Did pretty good. Now when I was shooting, I mixed up the ammo just to see if I could feel any noticeable difference. But they all aimed about the same. They hit pretty darn good. And the sights lined up really good. I mean, as tiny as they are. And that was fun shooting those. 22 shorts are kind of hard to come by, but they are a lot of fun to shoot in this thing. And those 22 quiet, same thing. But it's well worth it if you want to protect your gun and you still want to have fun with it. Well, anyway, guys, I hope you had as much fun as I did, because I just had a lot of fun with this. I'm going to shoot this some more after I'm done recording. Don't forget to shout out in the comments, tell me what you think about it, and also don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time.